Paranoia and Western civilization. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. Marijuana makes you paranoid. Oh, paranoia, why can't I breathe you out? The subterranean, and I mean that in a Dostoevskian Notes from Underground sense. The subterranean. In our species, contrary to popular belief, the alpha is subterranean in nature. This may not seem to have wide-ranging implications at first, but it does. I assure you it does. One of the most interesting, or perhaps intriguing, implications of this is the misunderstanding of biological evolution as a process, as a cellular biochemical process. A misunderstanding of the iterative norms and morphology when it comes to biological evolution, which we see resident in the broader interpretation of the so-called theory of so-called social Darwinism. The belief, the mistaken belief, of the alpha male, the alpha dog in the pack, the leader of the pack. Leadership is important. Couldn't have civilization without it. There are alpha males. There are alpha types. The problem is that we associate with the alpha type the totality of the furtherance of civilization. On some level, we assert that that's what reproduces, that the biological and the ideological are not entwined. But the reality is this: the physical offspring of the alpha males in a pack are nevertheless influenced by the beta males to a great extent, and more importantly, the women as well. We tend to focus on this or that element. What I want you to understand is the totality, and one of the primary reasons is because the core implication here is that the human species functions on the basis of cooperation, not so much competition, although that's an important element, but cooperation. The herd. We are a herd animal. Maximizing the herd, maximizing the potential of the herd, requires sparring amongst its members. It requires competition as a way of educating without damage, educating in all of the fundamental skills, whether it be acuitive response or the ability to think about something abstract like high energy physics via complex maths. Our ancestors were rats, mole rats, who dug and hid from the Ice Age. Everything in us, psychologically, is wired to that construct. Sure, there's the older reptilian brain, but man is the chess player, in it for the game. That's true. Not the resultant, but the game. Is that not the logic of a tunneler, of a digger? One thing I do know is this: almost no one will listen to what I have to say. It is a privilege not to be heard. All rare things are for the rare. A curse, really. A curse. For the true alpha male in our species is subterranean in nature. And I didn't really understand that until I started studying the existence of the New World Order and understood History 2.0 for the first time. Really understood History 2.0. Which I'm not even sure what is History 2.0. History 2.0 is a probabilistic vector floating beyond the sum totality of all that can be gleaned, particularly with a skeptical eye and a savvy eye when it comes to false history and fake news. All of history hitherto was fake news. Elsewhere, I have described a hypercomputing system capable of sensing, detecting, and relaying point particle level data on an entire parsec as perhaps the only construct capable of actually impinging on what we absurdly call history. Indeed, there are no histories. Just as there are no moral facts, only moral perspectives, there are no histories. There are only perspectives of time and human occurrence. The first set of videos I ever made was on the nature of proof. Still a great little series of videos. Just investigating the phenomenology of proof. The reality is that proof does not exist. There are only proofs. And those really are just little event structures isolated in pockets of time space, of highly relativistic, localized time space. You're not proving shit on some fundamental level about the fucking universe, which is vast. You know, we believe ourselves to be able to do this, though. And I'm not suggesting that there aren't fundamentals to physics. There are. But I'm also suggesting that physics varies throughout space. It absolutely varies. We pretend to know so much about the way the universe works, but really, our physics is the physics of Earth in the years, N through N. There is no physics. It would require the mind of God to have a true physics. You know what I mean? When I suggested a hypercomputer that's capable of sensing, detecting, relaying point particle level data across an entire parsec of space, what I'm suggesting is, can you think a God? If there were a God, if the matrix of all matter were mind, and there were such a thing as deity, and you wanted to actually create a God, you would have to start by creating such hypercomputing systems. And you would have to cellularize as many parsecs of space as possible via such a real-time rationalization system. Of course, the problem with such a system is it still has to somehow be intelligible to a human being. It's the man-machine interface that's the problem. No one will hear the things I have to say. When I tear apart with equal ferocity somebody like Louise Mensch and somebody like, let's say, Based Stickman, on the one hand you have a leftist useful idiot, and on the other hand you have a rightist useful idiot. But in both cases, neither represents the actual value structure of what those positions are supposed to be. Liberals are not liberal, and conservatives are not conservative. And really, there's no reason you can't be both. If you're a true liberal and a true conservative, there's no reason you can't be both. There's no reason you can't be for a maximum of personal liberty on the one hand, and on the other hand, be for limited government and sound fiscal policy. There's no reason you can't have both of those positions contained in one. That's the true position of, the combination of those two ideologies is Americanism itself, and that's why the enemy has so viciously constructed an environment where the two are where this continuum is bifurcated into two seemingly disparate camps. But as Houston shows, when the shit hits the fan, we're all fucking red-blooded Americans, aren't we? Or at least the good people are, irrespective of what your political ideology is. But it's very sad and very telling that political ideology, people hate Trump so much that they can't recognize the good he can do, or the good that he is doing. Which probably just sounds like cynical crap, to, you know what I mean, to them, because, my fascination here is with, I'm the opposite of Paul Joseph Watson and all these other jagoffs. I'm not looking to get famous through clickbait copy pasta. I'm not looking to fucking squat on every potential issue, vector, story that crops up and be first with my fucking stereotypical treatment of, consisting of foreground minutia. That's not my fucking market. I don't have a market. I have a market for people who do. My market is people who probably don't even exist yet. How I hate them. The famous imbeciles who make up the, let's call it, the intelligentsia of the right or the left. Posobiec, fucking Cernovich, fucking can't stand listening to Alex Jones anymore. Kurt Nimmo, whom I like, cheeses me off because he leans left too much and is not as savvy as he could be. I can't even fucking listen to or read Sibel Edmonds anymore. Everybody sucks. Everybody sucks. Willie Loman is a great guy. Great fucking analysis and coverage in certain areas, and in certain other areas, I just want to fucking strangle the guy. I mean, I'm just like, you're a fucking moron. You don't understand the fucking geopolitical macro-financial reality. But who does? Who does? So why am I hating him? Why do I hate this guy? He probably fucking feels the same way about me. He probably thinks I'm a fucking moron. You know what I mean? That's the sad part about it. Meanwhile, we're probably two of the only people who actually understand half of this shit. And, we're both nobodies. He's never going to be rich and famous. He's never going to rise to prominence. The system is designed in such a way to ensure that people like him or myself cannot come to fruition. Not by such means. One must come to fruition by other means. And if people think I'm a cynical fuck, they just gotta realize, man, it's logistics, dude. Like, I'm trapped here on fucking this ball of mud hurtling towards nothing with the rest of you. And, I mean, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born with a fucking crack pipe in my mouth, if you wanna get gritty about it, The fact that I'm even alive at 40 is like some kind of fucking miracle, right? So, let's not even go there. To prosper in such an age requires a deliberate cynicism, which is not cynicism. I know the fucking game is rigged. I know the fucking global markets are a giant dead hologram. That's the thing. I get it. And I'm not playing along. I'm not really, playing along. I'm just exploiting the system in order to survive. I understand how it works, and I'm exploiting the system to survive. I'm not cynical because I hate it. I hate all of it. I resent the fact that I have to hustle and shit in order to make my dream. But look at Tesla. Look what happened to Tesla. Jesus fucking Christ. Tesla was a moron. Niels Bohr was a moron. Einstein was... These guys are morons. They're all scientists. Most scientists are fucking morons. They really are. I know a few geniuses who, like me, punched out and realized, What do we realize? That the human species is capable of thinking far beyond its capacity to deliver on the fundamentals. And that we are like apes with fucking plasma rifles. I mean, we have way too much technology already for the level of cultural... We put all of our civilization points every year into shit like weapons, military capacity, that sort of thing. I'm not saying that's bad. You need that too. But we put too much into it. And we failed. We're 14,000 years down the road. And for 14,000 years, we've been putting all of our crude civilization points into the wrong tech trees. And we've gone so far down certain tech trees, but we have, like, culturally, we're still living in the year 1200. You know? AD. It's maddening to anyone who stops to look at it. And the truth of it is, I realized at some point that the subterranean need to have the power. Only not the evil ones, the good ones. The most impossible thing. Jesus Christ has to be Caesar. Do you understand that Jesus Christ must become Caesar? You don't. You don't understand. But I will teach you. I will teach all of you that Jesus Christ must become Caesar. I will fucking teach you. You will learn. Because I am hard, you will not like me. But the more you hate me, the more you will learn. I am hard, but I am fair. And I want what's best for everybody. Unlike all these other liars. Socrates once asked the question, who will watch the watchers? I answered,